In the new GB season, SFU represented the Shadow faction with several other alliances, the strongest of which was TSB. As the strongest faction, Shadow was the favorite this season. However, to be safe, we made a deal with Longreach, led by an SCAS alliance with several FFS players. The first fight with the Tempest faction was successful as we were able to defend ourselves against Duum players and GEU, who were the leaders of faction. However, a surprise happened for all of us. Both factions announced an attack on us at the same time. Whether this means that we were deceived and that both factions had an agreement, or this was just Longreach's bluff, as well as whether Shadow will manage to defend himself from both attacks, you will find out in the rest of the video. Enjoy! It seemed that some players still stuck to the deal with us, and only their strongest players sent armies. However, we were well fortified, and it will not be easy for them to beat us all. Stanko managed to easily defeat a very strong cavalry player, whose blue dragon gives him a big advantage because he had 2 more skills. Also, if he had played with T5, Stanko would have won harder. Another win against a similar formation, but this time he had no counter because they were bows. Arya's weapon brought him great benefit at maximum. With T5, Stanko would have suffered more losses and the fight would have been more uncertain. Already at the start of the fight, it was clear that it would be difficult against the Tempest faction, who were much more numerous than us and whose players easily neutralized ours. In the first 10 minutes, we managed to defend ourselves on both sides. A lot of our players were still waiting to fight the Longreach faction and couldn't send the strongest troops to fight the Tempest, which was much harder. May, with a couple of warriors, managed to cut our army in half in the castle, until Stanko arrived and managed to prevent them from advancing further. Although Raziel is not a very strong infantry, with Kevin instead of Barrett, he would be much stronger. Stanko was unable to defeat him because of the small army. Stanko managed to defeat the more numerous Holy Bull, who had a lot of T1 and T3, which was the main reason for his defeat. Stanko with Dina had stronger synergy than Holy Bull, even though he had Jamie's weapon finished, which takes weakness damage taken by 1 more than Stanko. The Tempest faction managed to beat us all, and unless one of our leaders comes soon, they will be very close to taking the castle. Stanko managed to get revenge on Raziel for the previous defeat. This time, Stanko has the maximum army, and although he was countered by the infantry, he managed to achieve victory. If the raider had T5, Stanko wouldn't have a chance to win. In the end, although Guts arrived, we failed to defend the castle because the opponent had more players, as well as Miyako, who was declared the MVP of the fight. On the other hand, we managed to easily defend ourselves against Longreach, primarily thanks to Stanko, who easily defeated their strongest opponents. In the end, we ended the fight half-heartedly. It was really difficult to defend on 2 fronts, although Longreach was not as active as Tempest. But the long way to the castle affected the defeat because our players needed more time than Tempest's. In the fights with Longreach, Stanko collected a lot of elimination points, which will help him in the general ranking and for taking prizes.